Welcome back to ETAW. My name is Bill. Today we're going to go over a little bit about tourniquets. On our last video about wound packing, kind of the first step that we took was putting on a tourniquet, but we didn't really go over what are good tourniquets, how you place them, and what their purpose is. So today we're going to go over that. I have 3 different types of tourniquets. These are all TCCC approved. If you don't know the company on TCCC, it's the military body that kind of governs and makes recommendations on tactical medicine and what we're doing out in the field. So we have 3 of those. One, we have a Gen 7 cat tourniquet. We have the TMT tourniquet, and we have the soft tourniquet. They all have a windlass. If the tourniquet does not have a windlass, if a tourniquet does not have this mechanical advantage to be able to occlude a vessel, most of the time it's just not going to work. So the next thing we need to look at is what the width is. The wider the band, the easier it is to occlude. So if you look at the cat tourniquet, this is 1.5 inches wide versus the TMT tourniquet, it is 2 inches wide. It's going to be easier to occlude a vessel with a 2-inch wide strap than another tourniquet out there called the RMT, or ratcheting medical tourniquet, that uses a ratchet lever, comes out to 3 inches wide, which makes it even easier. However, again, without the mechanical advantage, it's sometimes hard to occlude vessels with them. So for today we're just going to be using these 3. They all have mechanical advantages, really like them. There are some downsides to this one, there are some downsides to the cat, there are some downsides to the soft. However, there's a lot of upsides to all of them. And the most important thing is that you carry one of them. The availability of them is becoming much more available. You can get them, easy to get. And so we'll kind of go through the tourniquets. The TMT tourniquet, you'll notice, they're all about the same. We have the windlass on top, we have the back plate here, we have the Velcro loop, and we have the pull. All of them have a time stamp on them where you can time stamp them, although current studies are kind of out. These can be on for a long period of time before we experience any tissue damage. The next thing we're going to talk about as well with the tourniquets, how we prep them. A lot of people will get these, they come in the package, they're all packaged up, they leave them in the package worse, or they just leave them like this and put them in their gear without ever taking them out, without ever prepping them. So the first thing we want to do when we get a tourniquet, take it out of the package. Second thing we want to do, we want to move this over to the side so that it's out of the way. That allows the windlass to come free, and we can put it in, lock it in, and then put it over. Takes one less step. Again, faster, easier to do one-handed. The second thing we want to do when we look at the tourniquets is they come where they're all folded up like this. We don't want it like that because this is going to take a lot of energy to get on and then go. So what we want to do is we want to snake this down so it makes it a whole lot shorter, and we give ourselves a better pull tab. And I can't take credit for this. This is the training that I got several years ago, and I just really think it is the best way to have a tourniquet. So again, you make a big pull tab here, you fold it down like this, and then fold it back up on itself. So now this is the way you're going to carry it in your gear. So I take it out of my tourniquet, or I pop the rubber band on it, I pull it out, I can stick my arm through it, wrap it around my arm, get it high and tight. There's a debate. Do we want to go 2 inches above it, or do we want to go high and tight? I always say high and tight. Here's my reasoning behind that. Because if I'm in an immediate situation where I need to stop the bleeding, I don't want to have to guess and look and think about, thus taking more time, what the wound is, what type of wound it is. I want the bleeding to stop. So I want it high and tight, because I know if I get it high and tight, there's a wound down at the bottom, it's going to stop the bleeding. Or if it's up here. or if we have a blast injury that takes up more flesh than what we deal with. I just want it high and tight. I don't have to think about it. It's just up there. So the next thing we do, we have this pull tab over here. We pull that down and around as tight as we can get it. And then we twist the windlass until it doesn't twist anymore. They're not comfortable. If they don't hurt, they're not on right. All right. Last step, we're gonna take this, put it over. Again, the time, if you have the time to do that, that's awesome. Put the time up there. If not, just put it on. Make sure we're stopping the bleeding. Again, the number one cause of death, preventable death, is bleeding. So we want to put that on. To take it off, you just reverse it. Again, we take this, we want it kind of back on itself so it matches there. Then we're going to take this over, put it there. You do what we call dress it. You make it look all nice and pretty, because if you make it look all nice and pretty, when you take it out, it's going to be easier to deploy. Tuck this in, just so it's out of the way. Now you can take a rubber band it to your gear. If you have it on a plate carrier, you can have it. If you have it in a holder, you can have it. All good things. That is your basic cat tourniquet. Next tourniquet we're going to look at, and we're going to go over kind of the pluses and minuses of them all. So the cat tourniquet, the biggest downside of the cat tourniquet is the windlass. So it is an absolutely phenomenal tourniquet, don't get me wrong, but I have been in situations where these snap and break. There's a lot of reasons why these can snap and break. The biggest one is hot and cold temperatures. So if you're where I live, we get a lot of snow, gets really cold. If you have these sitting out in your car, they go through that heat and cold, and go back and forth a lot. Well, every time we go to those extremes in temperatures, it can weaken the plastic, and these can break. You start cranking on them, again, especially on big muscular guys, you start cranking on these, and they can break. Now, one of the best things about the soft T, or soft T wide, you'll hear people say, they only make the soft T wide anymore, so if you look at their, it doesn't say soft T wide anymore, it just says soft tourniquet. Aluminum. These are metal. These are not going to break whatsoever. You're not going to be able to crank on these enough to break. Now, one of the other recent upgrades to the soft tourniquet is they put this capture device here. You used to only have this top capture. Sometimes, especially if you're putting on yourself, sometimes that can be hard. So now they have this capture down here, and then the locking is pulling this triangular piece down. This is a self-locking mechanism here. Once you start putting pressure on that, that's not going to release. Now, one of the other good things about both the TMT and the soft tourniquet is they come undone. The reason why that's good is if I have to keep a low profile, if there's an active shooter situation, if I'm out, if I need to keep my head down, or I'm in a car and I don't have the room to manipulate, if they have a leg that I need to get this around, or if I need to get around my own leg, I can unclamp it, go around the leg, clamp it back in, tighten it down, twist the windlass, and get it all locked into place and stop the bleeding. Rather than if I have the soft TY, or the cat tourniquet, I have to, in order to do that, I have to undo it, re-wrap it, re-put it in, and go down. It just takes more time to do that than having this little latch right there. And again, for leg injuries, getting around a leg, absolutely fantastic. But the biggest advantage to a soft T is this metal windlass. So that's not going to break. Now, when we go to the TMT, this is actually my favorite tourniquet. And I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because I'm talking about this metal windlass, how awesome that is, and that is absolutely phenomenal. It is my choice. I wish these guys would put on a metal windlass on here. The reason why I like it is because of the width. 2 inches of width, and that doesn't sound like a big difference, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, but it is a major difference how much compression pressure we get on the vessels, to occlude the vessels. This is going to occlude easier than 1.5 inches. It's the reason a lot of the tourniquets started out at about 1 inch. They went up to 1.5 inches. Thus, this got the name soft T wide. But if we can go up to 2 inches or even 3 inches, that makes it easier to occlude those vessels. Again, just like the soft T wide, the TMT has this clip. Great little clip if you're getting it around in tight places. Again, got to keep your head down. It's great if you're in a car. There's so many places that this is good where you can take it around and slap it on your leg. And if your leg is damaged enough, you are out chainsawing and get your leg and you've hurt your leg so bad that you can't bend it anymore, it's hard to loop this around. Again, you have to take it out and kind of slide it around. Where this, we can just go. The windlass, a little bit smaller than this, and again, it's a plastic windlass, so you do have to be careful about just how much temperature change you have with these. It is going to be more temperature sensitive than the metal windlass. Again, to me, this would be hands down the best if they went with a metal windlass, but that's my thing. The other thing that I really like about the TMT is locking it in. You hear that snap? You know that you have a positive lock on this tourniquet. There's no having to put things, other pieces down over it. It locks into place and you're good to go. All of these you can use on kids, especially again the soft T wide. It really bends around, so it makes it nice. So you can picture a limb in there. You can go down to pretty much that, and that's a little kid's arm. My kids are 11 and just about 10. This really easily fits around them without any issues at all. Does a great job. Same with the TMT. If you look at the TMT, it goes down pretty dang small so that you can fit it around any limb. And again, so does the cat. Difference in the cat kind of is that it has this plastic plate back here. One of the ways that you know it's a real cat, it will bend, but it's not already pre-molded like this one, or the soft T wide barely has any of that at all. It just has reinforced nylon webbing here, scuba webbing here, to really conform to a child's arm. So bleeding is the #1 cause of preventable death. So if we keep tourniquets around where we can easily get to them, it's gonna save lives. If you carry a gun, you should be carrying a tourniquet, because statistics show us that you are much more likely to need a tourniquet than you are to use the gun. So if you're carrying a gun, you need to be carrying a tourniquet. Medical knowledge is key, keeping yourself, keeping your loved ones alive and going. So again, we're gonna go over the staging. We're gonna take it out of the packaging. We're gonna undo it. We're gonna unvelcro it. Pull this through. We're going to take this and kind of measure it so that it goes to the bottom of that buckle. Right there. And again, we want to dress it up. We want to make it nice and neat. That way it just doesn't get caught on things and doesn't mess around. Pull this over as a pull tab. Then this is going to go up and done. Now your tourniquet's staged. It's ready to go. All of them pretty much go the same way. You can tell I have the TMT already set up. Bring this down. And then back up. It's staged. and staged. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.